Welcome everyone to another series of our Global Employability Expert Series. I'm Mirta Aguirre. I'm the head of employability of virtual internships. And I'm very excited to have this webinar today because I'm interviewing someone who I think can tell us something very interesting about professional development and how to create a career path in some specific industry that may not correspond to what we studied at university, or how we can explore different industries. So I won't share much. I will let our speaker explore this topic in depth. Before we go in depth, let's see. So today's topic is the art of adaptation, the T-shaped professional. And this is brought by expert Rocío Gracia Edwards. And before she starts telling us all about it, let's remember how our webinar works, okay? So we are recording this session so you can watch it later on or share it with anyone you think may be interested. We have our YouTube channel where you can find all our other webinars, and you can subscribe there so you are up to date when a new webinar comes up. And you have the Q&A section. You can make any questions there. You can also use the chat. And we hope you have many questions. So please don't hesitate to write on the chat or make comments when you think what the speaker is sharing is interesting. So let's see who our speaker is today. So Rocío Gracia, she's currently a strategic program manager at Adevinta, a global classifieds group, mother brand of marketplaces such as Leboncoin in France, mobile.de in Germany, and Habitaclia, Fotocasa, and Infojobs in Spain. Before her current position, she used to work as an innovation project manager in Opino, a European consultancy firm. And before working for the private sector, she used to live and work in Argentina, where she worked for the city government and a local NGO. She holds a master's in innovation and entrepreneurship. She completed a master's in public policy, and she holds a degree in international relations. So as we can see, she did many different jobs and different industries, private sector, NGO sector, government. So she knows a lot about discovering different industries and sectors, and well, I will let her tell us more. And so what she will tell us today. So how can we continue learning, shifting, and trying new roles, industries, and positions while growing professionally? In this webinar, we will go over the concept of the T-shaped skills, professional profiles that possess skills in specific areas but are also good at working with others in a collaborative way. Rocío will walk us through her professional experience and share tips and examples that helped her go through major changes in her career. Welcome, Rocío. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Mirtu. Thanks so much. Should I share my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so please bear with me, guys, because I usually don't use Zoom at work. I use Meet. So you should be seeing my screen right now, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I don't know how much you've heard about the concept, but before going into the T-shaped professionals, I wanted to introduce myself, because I'm not only a CV or a professional career. I'm actually, so I'm from South America. I have lived in Argentina, in Brazil, in Paraguay. I have been living in Barcelona for the past 5 years. I'm married. I enjoy spending time with my friends. I have a new hobby recently, which are plants. So I have a little garden at home. I enjoy very much spending out with friends, going camping, traveling, meeting people from a lot of cultures. So, and I would love to make this more of a conversation. So if you have questions for me in the middle of the presentation, please just pop your hand or just jump in, and let's make it a little bit easier for the speaker as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the T-shaped professional. So I don't know if you've heard about this concept. It was a concept that was first coined in the 90s by McKinsey and Company. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of you have heard about McKinsey before. And it was basically a concept that helped them describe the type of profile that they wanted to hire. And later it gained more popularity in the scope of innovation. So I don't know if you all know IDEO, which is a global innovation firm, and they invented a lot of frameworks and ways of working. And so that's when it became a little bit more popular.
So for those who may not know, what is McKinsey, sorry?
McKinsey is a very big consultancy firm. It's one of the, I would say, top tier consultancy companies, along with BCG, which is Boston Consulting Group, Bain, and we can also mention Deloitte in the group, Price, well,
KPMG probably as well.
Yeah. That's it. So let me move then. I don't know if any of you have any other questions up until now. I have just started, but okay.
Yeah, maybe you can share in the chat if you had ever heard about this T-shaped professional concept, just to check a little bit. Yeah.
I cannot see the chat though. Let me here.
Yes, below it.
Okay, perfect. So going to the what are the I-shaped professionals, right? So building a little bit on the T. So a lot of you said that you were studying several things, right? Mechanical engineer, some of you maths. So that's a specific field, right? So we're talking about, or I studied international relations, Mirti also studied international relations. So that is a specific field, and you can go a lot deep into that and just stay there, and that's part of the I, right? But we know that in the current job landscape, that alone is not enough, right? So we go into the horizontal axis of the T, which is basically the cross-discipline expertises, right? So there are a knowledge set of competencies that are built on your abilities. And of course, it has to do with soft skills, but it also has to do with other skills. For example, in my case, and you will see throughout my experience, that I have built a cross-discipline in project management, right? So I do program management, project management, agile project management. So I have built also my cross expertise on that. And also on other skills that I think that were key throughout all the changes that I did in my professional career, such as emotional intelligence, communication skills, leadership skills, and some of them that we will go through when I tell you a little bit more about my experience, right? So what are these T-shaped professionals? These are people that have deep discipline expertise. So we do know stuff. It's not that we don't know stuff. And when we land to my final T, I will tell you what I think are my expertise and also my cross-discipline expertise. So we do have specific disciplines that we feel that we have strong knowledge on, but we also have a lot of cross-discipline expertises that makes it easier for us to collaborate with others. And it is super important in some kind of roles, especially a role as I have now, that is a program management role, that you have to be in contact with a lot of people, but also in managerial roles, right? Because it's very important to be empathic, to understand what's underneath what people are really saying to you, how to manage the team. So a lot of things that we are not born with. We basically work through them throughout our experiences, right? So this is a little bit of what I want to share today. So what are the advantages? And I think that they are pretty obvious, right, of developing this T-shaped profile. One is that you have better communication and collaboration skills, right? So it's crucial to understand that people are sometimes telling you things that they don't actually mean, right? So and at first when we start working, this is not that obvious. So this is something that we learn with time. Also, and I have learned, and for me this is has been a very important learning, that T-shaped roles also boost flexibility, right? So it's very important that we are able to adapt. And in my case, that I have changed so many times, roles, industries, and I've worked with so many cultures and different peoples. And one of the skills that I had to develop the most was flexibility. So having an approach of being very adaptable and working with all kinds of people, right? But it's also important not to forget about the hard skills, right? So apart from all of these soft skills such as networking, critical thinking, flexibility, adaptability, team management, T-shaped professionals also master some domains, right? So it is a balance in a way. So
Rocio, before you share that, from what I'm understanding, so basically we can think that we as employers, employees, we get to have, let's say, a set of abilities and skills, knowledge that in a way, according to human resources and big companies and consultancy firms, they decided to create these different profiles, right? And actually there are different letters used. For instance, there's also an X profile, which is someone who gets to get many people in common and communicate and lead. And this is the T-shape. And what I like about what you said is like, so a T-shape has a combination of two main things, right? Cross-functional, horizontal. This is a horizontal part, which is we have many different skills that allow for the profile to adapt to many others, right? Can you go back to the slide of the shape?
Yeah.
That one, right? So we have cross-discipline expertise, and then we have deep discipline expertise, right? When we talk about some profiles, we can think that some people are generalists, right? That they know a little bit of everything. That would be like the horizontal part. And then, like you mentioned, we can think of the those profiles that are really experts on something, right? And like we have here many people who are studying mechanical engineering, math, like very, very deep knowledge. And so if I understand correctly, this is a profile that kind of combines, let's say, the best of two worlds, right? Because it can collaborate with other people, but then we have specific knowledge. Is that okay, right?
Yeah, it's exactly that. And I think that it's very important also to highlight here that this is not the only valid profile, right? I'm just talking about a little bit of my experience and how these kind of profiles can fit into companies, and why some companies, such as the company that I'm working now, I'm talking a little bit about what I'm gonna be talking in a few slides, but why do a tech company that is focused on developing marketplaces and all of their profiles are technical profiles in the majority, and they're all developers in a way, why do these company hire me? So at the beginning, and I'll talk a little bit about this, I thought I had an image of why they were hiring me, but I was totally wrong. So, and I think that it's important to understand that it's not the only valid one, right? There are a lot of people in the company that I work that are I-shaped professionals, right? They are only developers, and they are great and amazing at the job they do. So we are just talking about another profile that can be useful for some kinds of people that enjoy doing diverse things and changing along the way. And I think that this has been very useful for me. And it's also important to acknowledge that companies are also looking for these profiles, right? So
yeah, that's an excellent point, because the beauty of this profile is we may be generalists. I studied international relations myself. We are university colleagues, and international relations is a very broad career, although in itself, my major was quite specific, right? Because we can think I am a specialist in international relations. When I actually left university, I didn't feel like international relations was my passion, nor I was super interested in going in depth, exploring that particular discipline. But I did have lots of other good skills and knowledge, which in a way made me a generalist, right? Like gave me this horizontal part of the profile. What I didn't know, and I became to develop later, was this specific EI to the profile, which, and then in turn I became T-shaped, right? And when I discovered that, I was like, oh, actually, there's a good balance in between having broad knowledge and specific knowledge, and the other way around, right? Like having specific knowledge and then broad knowledge and skills, and which actually gives us the possibility to collaborate with different roles and industries and sections, right? So, okay, Rocio, so
let me
how
jump.
was your path?
Yeah, let me talk a little bit about what you were saying, Mirtu. So I drew my path here, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about my experience and the seven steps that I see in my path, and the different things, my beliefs at the moment, and the truth about it, right? So you were talking about us studying international relations at university. So my belief when I started and when I did my undergraduate degree was that my role would be determined forever as an international relations specialist, right? So that was my fear at the beginning, because I didn't love also international relations, and my fear was, oh my God, everyone will talk to me about wars, everyone will talk to me about international politics, and I don't think this is what I want to talk about, right? So I thought that I was going to be totally constrained into that scope, and it wasn't that way at all. What my career brought me was actually a broader understanding of international politics, and that was it. And I think that if I had to, this brought me, of course, a lot of specific skills, but it didn't determine what I did. So my first job, actually, if we go to the second step in my path, my second job was actually in market research. So I used to work with a lot of countries, a lot of cultures as a market research consultant, and then as a market research project manager. And again, my belief was that I would stick to market research for my whole life and that I would be a specialist in market research, but I wasn't really convinced about that either. I didn't like it so much, and I didn't like being a consultant. So I was again super concerned about developing more skills on the eye and not so much on the horizontal, right? But I didn't know this concept at the time, so I was very worried about the choices that I was making in my career, especially because I was super young, probably as young as you all are. But the truth was that although I was gaining some specific expertise, what I was beginning to develop was a cross-discipline expertise that was project management, and I actually started enjoying it. And that's the common thing that I had in the rest of all the roles that I had up until now, right? But the rest was changing, right? So I started to develop a cross-discipline expertise that, as I said, was the common denominator for all the things that I did afterwards, right? So as I said, I wasn't super convinced with market research either. So I went, and I knew that social sciences was something that I enjoyed a lot and that I really wanted to pursue. So I completed a master in public policy after that. again, focusing on the specific skills, right? So I was super sure that if I complete a master's in public policy, that was what I needed to succeed in the public sector and in the NGO environment that at the time were the things that I wanted to do with my life, right? And I did. Actually, those specific skills helped me a lot. The truth was that I nailed my first job in a median NGO that I loved working, and actually it was an amazing experience for me. And after that, also, I nailed a job in the public sector that was actually a great job, but it wasn't the masters that allowed me to not to get this job and nor to excel in those jobs, because they were actually amazing experiences, right? So the first major change that I did was this job that I was mentioning, my first job at an NGO. So, and this is the first time that I started thinking about the importance of all this cross expertise, right? So I was working before in a consultancy firm with a lot of clients, a lot of deadlines, working like 12 hours a day. And then suddenly I shifted completely to a new world, and I started to work with people with intellectual disabilities. So imagine what that meant to me, like the ability that I had to develop to work with people that are completely different to me, right? And to understand what are their needs, how to communicate with them. And at the time, I didn't see it as something valuable because I just wanted to work in the sector. But now that I'm thinking about it, this started building on the horizontal axis of DCT, right? And I also work at that time managing projects in the NGO, but also as a fundraiser. So imagine all the people I had to meet and greet. And when I finished my job, I actually had like gazillions of cards in a box of all the people I had met during that period of time, and very different stakeholders. So I had to meet major donors from governmental institutions, major donors from the private sector, then small donors such as families of the people that we used to work with. So that that required for me tremendous adaptability to different stakeholders, right? So if I had to highlight something from this experience, it wasn't the specific knowledge that I developed there, but more what I built on this horizontal axis, right? I don't know if you have any question, comments up until now.
Yeah, I really like what you said about like how you thought that, from what I understood, like you felt that you needed to specialize in something, right? You studied international relations and you said, okay, this is okay, but it's not perhaps what I want to do, and I don't want to be defined by what I studied. And then you started studying a new thing to gain specific knowledge. And at the same time, you were, okay, this is interesting, but I don't want to be defined by what I'm studying at the moment, right? And then you started a different job. And although it had to do with what you studied, there were some things that, yes, other not so much. And in the way you started realizing that actually all the previous knowledge you learned, it was useful somehow, but it definitely was super useful, all the different skills you were developing in each new job, right? And
Yeah.
I think this is, yeah.
No, I just wanted to say that at the moment, I didn't realize. So this is, as I said, I also wanted to give tips to the young people. And I will say it at the end, but I think that it's important now to highlight it also, that every time that you're in a job, don't aim for perfection. So because it's super hard to find something that it's your passion, and it's also bringing you it's bringing you joy, and you're also learning, and you're also but always look at what skills are you developing in that job that will help you in future jobs. And I can see it now after 12 years of working, but at the moment when I was working here in this NGO, I loved my job, but I didn't, and that's actually why I moved jobs, because I thought that it was too little, and I thought that maybe I was meant to do major things, and I couldn't see the skills that I was developing at the time. And if I had this mindset at this time, I am pretty sure that I would have taken a lot more advantage of the situation to learn even more things, you know? So that's one of the tips that I want to give to the young people.
Yeah, that's an essential piece of advice, because what usually happens is that we are not aware of what our skills are, right? We know there are some hard skills that we mentioned, specific knowledge and things we can do, like programming, like using Excel, like speaking specific languages, like that. Those are hard skills. But we also have all these other soft skills, which now the human resources world is calling it also power skills, because actually they have realized that there's nothing soft in being able to communicate properly, being able to work in teams. So we have all these soft skills or interpersonal skills or people skills or power skills that sometimes we don't even value, right? Just like you mentioned, you started working for this NGO and then started speaking with different stakeholders and different audiences. You have to adapt from working for the private sector or in market research, and then go speak with the public, with families, with people who have disabilities. And then you need to develop key new skills. And as you said, at the moment, you weren't even conscious. At me, we were classmates, you know me. We were not aware of any of this. This is why I love my job now, because if I had been told earlier, hey, Mirta, focus on your skills, gain awareness of you are learning, because you know and you can do many things, but you just don't know it. So when we left, when we finished university, we were so lost, because we were like, yeah, okay, I know about international relations, but I'm not sure what I can do with this, because I'm not even passionate about it. We were not conscious that actually our degree had many skills, which was like, yeah, researching, interpreting information, like being able to put together deep concepts. It was not only talking about wars or diplomacy, like I thought. There were so many things I wasn't aware I had, which in turn allowed us to do different roles. So that's a key thing to have in mind. Remember, reflect about what skills you have, soft or people skills that can be transferred to any other industry, and what specific skills you may have. And I assure you that you have so much more skills that you can recognize. But yeah, go back and we can continue later. Yeah, reflecting.
Yeah, totally, and I agree. And we had several conversations about this, Mirto, at that time. I think it comes with age also, but it's important to talk about this, right? That you don't have to have everything figured out when you finish university. Then you don't have to think that what you're studying now is what is determining what you're gonna do for the rest of your life, because that, well, it could happen and it could be the case, but that shouldn't be the case if you don't want it, right? So I think that this is also an important thing that I want you all to have as a tip after if my experience can be useful in some way, right? So going back to my path after I studied, I did the master in public policy, started working for the NGO, started seeing that not only specific skills were needed. I had another dream, which was working for the city government. So I wanted to work for a public sector because I studied international relations, of course, and because I was so specific about public policies in my master's as well, that I wanted to put all of that and bring it into a job. So again, my belief, as I said, was that this specific knowledge was what was going to make me excel at my job. And I'm pretty sure that it helped, because as Mirti said, there are a lot of things that we learned from these kind of careers. But it is true that thinking back, there was another aspect that really helped me when I worked for the city government, that was actually understanding context. And this seems super easy and logical and common sense, but it isn't. And generating straight bonds with people, right? So I used to work for a minister, so I had to understand the political context. I had to understand what were his political needs. I had to understand what we needed to show and how we needed to show. So this is, it helped me a lot to read situations. So what helped me in the job was actually that skill that I learned in the job, and it's helping me now. Now I also work for a top manager. Well, I work with him actually. We were managing a huge project because we're merging with the classified division of eBay. And we're managing a very large project of the merger. And one of the things that have helped me the most, and I think a lot about this experience that I had, is actually this. So reading the context, understanding the stakeholders, understanding what people want, understanding that what they're saying is not actually what they mean. So I think that this is also a great skill, and I learned it without knowing that I was learning it. And at that time I was super stressed with my job. And also, if I could go back, I would be focusing a little bit more on that, right? On not so much on excelling on the job, but on working on these kind of skills, right? So then I did another major change in my career. I stopped working for the city government because I understood that politics wasn't really for me. So I took a gap year. I moved continents. I moved to Barcelona, where I live now. I've been living here for 5 years. Again, looking for new skills. So again, I was focusing on the I, right? So I said, okay, I already have skills on social science, and I already have developed some of these in some of the contexts that I wanted to. I wasn't even aware about all of these cross skills that I was developing. And I said, okay, I want to learn a new skill, and I want to focus on innovation because it's trendy, because I want to work in innovation projects because I'm pretty sure that they're fun. So I need the skills. I need the skill set to do that. So I basically pursued a master's in innovation. So I came here to Barcelona doing that, right? To start over again. And it actually helped me with my first job here. I did my master's in innovation, and through the master's, I got a very good job actually in an innovation consultancy working in transformation projects, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. And again, I was focusing on my specific skills, right? So what skills do I have in innovation? What skills do I still miss? Because this is a new field for me. But I was actually hired not only because of my skills in innovation, because actually I only had a master of 1 year, but because of all of my previous experience. And then I developed a close relationship with my boss, and he actually told me, I don't need you to know all the frameworks that we work with because you learn them. I just need your skills with people. I see that you're very good at working with people. I need a coach for teams right now, and I think that you could be a perfect fit. I need project management skills because we're starting an office here in Barcelona, and I need someone that can help me with project management. And you can also, and I see that you have worked on that, and I need you to be able to talk to clients, and I need you to be able to adapt and to have good stakeholder relations. And all of those things were things that I didn't look for, that they weren't in my skill set. At least I didn't see it like this, right? So that was my second major career shift, I would say. And it's another example of how all my other skills helped me succeed, right? I think that I've been talking a lot about myself without any questions, so I don't know if anyone can pop in.
Yeah, definitely ask them questions. And so, will you tell us what you're doing now? I'm very interested to know.
Yeah,
Is
yeah, yeah.
this the part where we find out?
Yeah, this is step number 7, right? So
Awesome.
after I worked 3 years in the innovation consulting firm, it was an amazing experience. I worked a lot also because consultants, we usually work a lot. And I wanted to work for a corporate because, of course, I always want to change. So I had already worked for consultancy in my career. I have been managing projects for a long time, different kinds of projects. I have already worked for NGOs, for the private sector, and and I applied for a job in this company, very big company. Actually, it has a lot of very popular brands. Maybe the Adevinta is the name. It's a new name actually because it's a mother brand, but the local brands are quite popular here in Europe. And I landed this job, which I enjoy a lot, but and this was a year ago. I still believed that I was being hired because of my specific knowledge in innovation. So I had been working for transformation projects for a long time, like for 3 years, and I had gained specific skills in agile frameworks, right? So actually, one of the steps of the interview was a use case about agility, right? I really nailed it in the interview because I had the examples, I had worked a little bit with that. And then when I got into the company, I thought that they were hiring me to take that project, right? And it was super stressful for me because I didn't know that I didn't know the specificities of the company. I thought that I had a little bit of an imposter syndrome, like this is not exactly what I know. This is not a specific knowledge that I have. Always focusing on the I, right? And and the truth is that they hired me because of my other skills, and they hired me because they wanted someone that could be adaptable in a moment that the company is going through very, very hard times because we're merging. So every merger is a, you can imagine, is a new world and a huge challenge to the companies that are merging. So they wanted someone that could be adaptable. They also wanted someone that in this context could bring people together and could make them talk, take decisions, make decisions, define the path. And they also hired me because of my ability to manage different stakeholders, and not because of my specific skills on agility or whatever. Actually, when I started the job, I was super worried because I thought, what am I gonna do here, surrounded by tech people, right? Like, I studied international relations. I worked in so many different places. Like, this is not the place for me, like, I'm not a tech person. They will hate me. They'll think I'm stupid. I thought a lot about that at the beginning, right? But now it's been a year. I am super happy. I'm working like with top managers in very strategic projects in the company, and I am 100% sure that what they're looking for is still in me. And I got a promotion a few months ago, and what they have been highlighting in me is my action oriented profile, and all of the things that I have mentioned, right? So my willingness to help other people, to collaborate with other people, to adapt to other profiles and other people, the humor that I sometimes bring into the room, the energy that I bring into some tense conversations. So that is why I'm working there, although I'm not a tech person, right? So this is a little bit of how my path kind of, well, it didn't finish yet. I'm on it, but this is how it was built. And so after all of my experience, I feel I look a little bit like this. So think that I have specific skills in social science, of course, because of all the things that I studied and the experience that I had in the past. Also in innovation, because I studied and because I put it in practice in the past. But I am very, very aware that I have cross-discipline expertise, and I'm very aware of which ones they are. And I had to reflect a little bit about them for this webinar, and it was quite useful also for me, because sometimes, and this is also a tip, take the time to reflect on your skills, because sometimes we put ourselves down, we think that we don't have it, and especially if you're gonna go through interview process, do this exercise because it's super useful, right? To look at yourself with an optimistic view and see what are the things that you really have, right? So I know that as cross-discipline expertise, of course, I have project management because I've been working on that. I know I have team management because I manage teams during a long time with great feedback about my work. I know that I have stakeholder management skills because I do it all the time and I get feedback also on that. I know that I'm super adaptable. I know that I can think critically and that I understand the context, right? And I think that these are the skill sets that I value the most in me.
Also, can I comment something? Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Because I was reflecting that this is an interesting example because we both studied the same things, right? We studied international relations and we both developed really different careers. Well, not so different, but like different careers, right? And so we had all these horizontal aspect of the T, which was in a big proportion also perhaps shaped by our university studies, right? Because international, being a graduate in international relations gave us critical thinking, context understanding, besides the fact that you also learned this in your work, right? But we got some cross-discipline knowledge also, because it is quite a generalist study anyway. In my case, what I found is like I had different roles also in government, in international organizations that gave me a little bit about project management, team management, stakeholder management. I could say mainly like the horizontal is quite similar. In my case, I was interested in education. So my I became education, coaching, development, languages. And I think the beauty of the T shape is that you can always adapt your T as long as you develop new skills, new interests, and that makes it super interesting, right? Because you have a specific set of knowledge, like Rocío here, innovation, social science, and then cross-functional skills and knowledge. And with this, she can adapt to different roles. And now she's working for a tech company, which, like you said, you at the beginning said, like, what do I have to, why am I here? But actually, you have a lot to offer because you know a little bit of everything, and you can connect to the tech team because you know about project management. You are not an expert on technology, but you are an expert on and you know about project management, so you know how to manage a project even if it's in tech, right? And you can communicate with other teams. So the horizontal makes it easy to communicate with other sectors, and the I makes it like the specific, right? So I think this is super interesting.
Yeah, so going a little bit on, and I'm finishing up, closing up on what are my recommendations, right, for you guys. So, of course, focus on gaining these hard skills, right, through study and practice. And as Mirti said, she for example, she's focused on education and coaching, and of course she needs to study for it and also practice. But every time you are approaching a job position, reflect on what other skills you can gain and enhance, right? Not only the ones that are related to the specifics of the job that you want to perform, but also what are the other things that you will be able to enhance through that job, right? For example, in my past job, I worked in innovation, but I also wanted to enhance my team management skills. So I had a team of 6 people, and that was the first time that I managed such a large team. So for me, it was important also to stick with the job so I could gain those skills, right? So when you're looking at the offer, don't look all on the specifics, but also look about the other things that are gonna be helpful for you in future jobs, right? Um, and this is, I think, the second one. I think it's a good one because it will happen. It could happen to all of you. I think that it happened to Mirto and I several times, that you don't like your job, or you don't like what you're doing at the time. You don't like, maybe you don't like your bosses, you don't like your colleagues, you don't like your salary. A lot of things can fail, right? But focus on the things and the skills that you can gain through that experience, right? So focus on the resilience that you can gain, on the adaptability that you can gain, and enhance those skills while you're looking for another job. So that is for me another tip that I will give you. And the third one, and I started actually the webinar saying this, and because I would have loved someone to tell me this, and I think that a lot of people did, but I didn't believe them. So I really encourage you to believe me and Mirtu when I say that what you studied really does not determine your future. It can, of course, and if you want, I'm pretty sure that it will, but it doesn't have to. So I studied for 4 years international relations, and I never did anything related to international politics again, right? And so all the skills that you build will help you adapt into different environments and take different kinds of jobs, and the job that you want at the time that you want. You can make the changes, the career changes that you want at the time that you want, and there's no age for it. So that's another tip that I at least can take from my experience.
Well, thank you, Ro. I really like this idea of we can adapt, we can change. I think we may be a little bit older than you, and we were you at a certain moment. We thought like, oh, we haven't discovered yet what we want to do, what will we work on. We were really, and with Rocío, we were actually quite suffering a lot because we were super lost and we didn't know, and we were so much worried, right? And I would have liked to have an older version of myself and Rocío, now older and wiser, saying, hey guys, relax, okay? This is a discovering path. We don't have to know right now. And what you studied at university, just like you said, it can definitely help you, and that can be a great path to explore. But also, if that's not your calling, don't worry. You can discover, you can train yourself, you can find so many new skills, and you can create so many different versions of ourselves, right? Because Rocío had so many different jobs, and each job kind of developed a version of yourself and allowed you, you know, the Rocío that worked for an NGO, for the government, for market research, for a consultancy, for a tech company, like so many different versions with different skills, different mindset, and we can create that path. So having a T-shaped profile is a great way to be able to work with many different people, right, in different sections, different areas, and then have some specific content. So would you like to share in the chat what takeaways are you having from this talk? What ideas, one key idea that you are taking with you? We would love to hear that. For us, it's really important that you can really get some ideas so you can reflect and understand that career development is a path, right? And focusing on skill development can be a really good way to start, okay? Okay, so I see in the Q&A that someone is saying, it allowed me to reflect on what skills I have and how I can create this T-shaped profile. Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else? Who else? What are you taking away? Okay, I can see someone is writing here. Okay, I learned new information that I didn't know about skills. Excellent, awesome. I'm also reading here. Embrace any job that can help you build skills that can help you for a future better job. Absolutely. That's a great takeaway.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the first part of what you said, Jude, embrace any job. I think that it's a very good takeaway, because of course you can change, but while you're there, try to take the most out of whatever you're doing. So try to, I won't say try to focus on the positive, because that's such a cliche, but more try to focus on what are you learning from that experience, because either good or bad, you're learning something, right?
And that goes definitely for an internship, right? If you're having a great internship, awesome. If you're having not so good internship, awesome. Anyway, focus on what skills you're learning. What is it that you're taking away from the experience? Even if it's like knowing, okay, I'm not interested in this path, I'm not interested in this career, this is not the industry for me. That's great knowledge, because in every job we have, we can adjust a little bit better. If you focus on, okay, what skills am I developing? Or we can ask ourselves, what else could I be developing in this internship, right? So these are things that you can discover and you can reflect upon in your coaching call. So if you haven't taken your coaching call, please do. You will probably receive an email to book your coaching call, because you can discuss this with your coach, right? Your coach can help you say, hey, tell me what skills you're developing, or they can help you identify your skills, because sometimes we are doing an internship and we are doing so many different tasks and activities, and we're not sure, because we said, I'm not sure this is being useful. But then we say, oh, wait, because I'm actually speaking with the founder of the company. I'm doing this job, this LinkedIn posting. So I'm creating content. So I'm developing my communication skills. And we are developing really interesting skills. So I really invite you to reflect on skill development and book your coaching call and speak with your coach. And definitely, I invite you to stay in touch with Rocío. You can find her through LinkedIn. And you can always add me to your LinkedIn network. It's always super important to connect and communicate. And we are always open for questions and comments. So thank you, everyone. I hope this was really useful. And I hope you have an excellent day. So see you the next time, and thanks for having shared this with us.
Thanks, Mirtu, for having me. I really enjoyed it.